Where will Colorado football's Shedeur Sanders get drafted? When Deion Sanders announced he was taking the head coaching position for the Colorado football team, it was more than obvious that both of his sons, Shedeur and Shilo, would surely follow him. Most assumed nepotism would play a role, especially with Shedeur, who was the starting quarterback at Jackson State. However, what everyone forgot to look at was who the players were individually, who they were behind the name Sanders on the back of their jerseys. Their father, Coach Prime, obviously cast a large shadow, being one of the greatest football players of all time, a Hall of Famer as both a collegiate and NFL player. But now his sons, specifically Shedeur, are making names for themselves all on their own as some of the best players in all of college football. Will Shedeur Sanders enter the NFL draft after this season? Having already played 2 seasons at Jackson State, Shedeur is playing in his junior season this year. However, he still technically has 3 years of eligibility left after this season, one as a true senior and 2 more seasons from the COVID-19 pandemic that the NCAA ensured. That's still a ton of time left in his college career, and with the way that college athletics has changed due to things like NIL, it's not a sure thing that Shedeur will leave for the NFL after this season. Shedeur is a large part of this Colorado football team rebuild that his dad is building in Boulder. So far, Shedeur is a cornerstone of it with his superb play at the quarterback position, helping lead the team to a 2-0 record. Things are happening quicker than expected for the Buffaloes, where this team is looking like they can compete with most now. However, they are most likely still a few players away from competing with the likes of Georgia, Alabama, and the other highly elite teams in college football. No one would be surprised to see Shedeur return for at least 1 more season, if not more. Where would Shedeur Sanders be drafted if he left? With Caleb Williams' father coming out and announcing that it was a sure thing that his son would be leaving for the NFL after this season if the circumstances weren't right, that could somewhat reset the entire draft. As of now, Williams is nearly a lock to go number 1 overall in the draft, that is, of course, depending on the team that holds the first pick. Most mock drafts have the Arizona Cardinals taking the spot, who look to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. This could be one of the better quarterback classes in some time, with Drake May, Sam Hartman, and others coming out, that of which includes possibly Shedeur. Most have Shedeur being taken as the 3rd quarterback off the board, with Williams and May taken before him, per Pro Football Network. Mock drafts are definitely not a certainty, but most have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the 2nd team taking a quarterback. That would then leave most likely the Las Vegas Raiders as the next best option. However, there are also other teams like the Tennessee Titans, Los Angeles Rams, and Washington Commanders. The Raiders are in a tough division, where they most likely might finish at the bottom of the division. That doesn't mean they aren't going to win some games, putting them out of the top 5, maybe even top 10 of the draft. The Washington Commanders seem like a much more viable option to obtain a top 5 pick. They're relying on Sam Howell currently, who definitely doesn't seem like a franchise quarterback. Sanders, however, could be that guy if he decides to leave the Colorado football team after just 1 season. What team Shedeur Sanders should be drafted to? We're only week 1 into the NFL season. We have no idea how the rest of this season is going to play out by any means, or, again, if Shedeur will even decide to come out for the draft after this season. Who knows what the draft will look like by next April? But the team that would be the most exciting for Sanders to be drafted to would be the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, of course, were the team that Shedeur's father, Deion, was drafted to back in 1989 as the 5th overall pick. The Falcons still have no certainty at the quarterback position. Desmond Ridder is the current starter, but he had a SOSO week 1 against the Carolina Panthers. Ridder has tons of offensive weapons around, yet no one knows for sure how the former 3rd-round pick will actually play out in a whole season as the starter. Shedeur would be yet another 1st-round pick for the Falcons if he somehow fell to them, their 4th in a row. But he would also be the much missing piece to an offense that is waiting to explode with the right man behind center. Shedeur would be much welcomed in Atlanta. It just seems doubtful the Falcons fall that far this season, unless they somehow traded up in the draft to get him.